And when was that you graduated from MATC?
1985.
Okay.
May of 85.
Okay. And so you came directly to work here.
Correct.
And maybe you could talk a little bit about how you got into the position where you wanted to be the owner, or got the opportunity to be the owner.
It was probably a little bit by default. I
Yeah.
had been here the longest, and the owner at the time was planning to retire, and so he offered it to me. He asked me if I would be interested,
Okay.
and by now I had already had 14 and a half years invested, so
Right.
I thought I might as well. So
Sure.
I
Well, and what
decided
was
to purchase it.
okay. And what was that like? What kind of steps did you have to follow to become a new owner at that point?
You have to, at the time, you had to make sure you had a manager's license, because I don't believe the state requires that anymore. They're phasing that stuff out. But so we had to make sure to go get a manager's license. So I had to go take more tests through the state.
Okay.
And then you have to get all the fun stuff for the government, like your employee identification number,
Right.
and set up things like unemployment and
Yes.
and taxes and
Right.
and withholding and all that stuff. So
Sure.
lots of paperwork.
Oh, yeah. And was any of that fun stuff done with the city of Monona?
I don't believe there was anything we had to do with the city.
Yeah, that seems to be
So that was- yeah.
common
Mhm.
among the business owners that I've talked to up and down Monona Avenue, that mostly the interaction is with the city of Madison. So tell me a little bit more about the other parts of your life, like what brought you to Monona or area,
Well,
this area.
I actually grew up down in McFarland.
Yeah.
So I have not gotten very far from home.
Okay.
And like I said, the job, I did live in Monona for a while, for a
did.
period of time, in a place that doesn't exist anymore called Garden Circle.
Okay. Where was it?
It's right off of Owen Road. It's where the
Sure.
Heritage Assisted Living Facility is now.
Okay,
That was
all right.
Garden Circle at one time.
Okay.
And so I've pretty much always been in this area. Even as high schoolers, there wasn't
Oh.
much in McFarland, so we came up to Monona Drive.
Sure. Uh-huh.
And so yeah, I also live down in the town of Dunn now. I'm between McFarland and Stoughton.
Mm-hmm.
But so I have my house and stuff down there. I also have I co-own 2 farms up in Adams County with my uncle.
Uh-huh.
Those were one was the farm my grandpa grew up on, and one was the farm my great grandpa grew up. Well, my dad and uncle grew up on the one, and then my grandpa and great grandpa grew up on the other one.
Okay.
So we don't actively farm it; we rent out the land, but that's kind of our getaway spot. We all go up there and goof around and ride
okay.
ATVs and the stuff you can't do in town.
Sure. Sure. When they were active farms, or are they still active farms?
In the sense that they get cropped, we do
Sure.
rent out the land for cropping, but there's no
Okay.
livestock anymore
Okay.
or anything there. They were dairy farms.
They were dairy farms.
They
All
were.
right. Yeah. Did you ever do any work as a farmer?
Only as a child, we went up there a lot. So the weekends we were there, we like to help.
Right.
That was an adventure.
Right.
I've never had to do it day to day, in and
Yeah.
out every day. So I always liked it, but
Yeah.
it might be different if that's what you do every
if
day.
that was, yeah. if that
But
was
we
your
always,
thing.
had a lot of fun up there. Good memories and.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Are there other people in your immediate family?
I have 2 daughters.
Okay.
Myself. They are 27 and 18.
Yeah.
And my mom still lives in McFarland. My dad actually just passed away in June. So, and then I do have I have 2 brothers.
Okay.
So,
And anybody else close by other than your mom?
not particularly.
Not
We're
right
not
now.
a real big family. We're
Right.
not real big.
Yeah, very intimate, very small.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of caring there. Do you still have friends or connections to the community from, say, high school years when you used to come up here and spend some time?
Some, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A few people still around.
Yeah, and you run into each other around at the different festivals and
Uh-huh. Did you go to the 4th of July or community
I
festival?
did not this year. like I said, we live down closer to Stoughton. My kids went to Stoughton High School. Stoughton Fair was going on, so we tend to go down that
This
way.
is the competition.
Yes, it is the competition. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, let's talk about the business then. So, a total of about how many years have you been the owner?
Just about 20.
About
January
20.
will be 20 years.
Okay. And how many years prior to that as an employee?
14 and a half.
So 35
Yes.
at least.
I'm
Wow.
in my 35th year.
It's an awesome, I mean, that's a career and,
Yeah, it is,
and a
it is.
vocation. Yeah.
I served my apprenticeship here and everything.
Wow.
Back at that time, you had to serve an apprenticeship, and
Yeah.
so I did that all here under Pat.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what it's like now being a barber and operating a business like this versus what it was like when you first started.
The nice part is barbering hasn't changed a huge amount. Hairstyles come and go.
Yeah.
They get longer, they get shorter.
Yeah.
Currently, the big beard trend is huge. So we trim a lot of beards now, a lot
Yeah.
more beards than we ever used to. But for the most part, we stay pretty steady, pretty level. We get a lot of comments now when people come in that, I didn't know there were any regular old-fashioned barbershops left,
Yeah.
because there aren't. We are kind of going the way of the dinosaur. But
Yeah, I mean, I noticed if people look at your Facebook page or any other business materials, you'll notice that you have a pole, and you have. I'm looking around, and you have 4 chairs. Actually, one is in the seating area.
That's the parts chair.
The parts chair.
To keep the old chairs going. These are all from the mid-50s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're original barbershop here.
Yeah, they're great. They just for the audience who's listening, they have sort of like a car seat look to them, meaning not kids' car seats, but the inside, the interior of a car. They're what material is this? Is it vinyl?
It's a vinyl. Yeah, they're upholstered in vinyl.
Yeah, and
And chrome.
And chrome, right? And they have actual ashtrays in the arms. And let's see. Does it? It looks like the footrests are somewhat adjustable.
They flip, yeah.
They flip. So Colleen's flipping them up and down.
So if someone has a little bit shorter legs, that
Yeah.
works for them. And they do actually recline for
Oh,
giving shaves.
Great.
We don't still give shaves because you have to do a lot of shaves to stay in good practice and give a good shave and, of course, not cut people.
Yeah.
And we just don't get requests for shaves anymore because people, of course, for what you have to charge to do it, they go, well, I can do that at home.
Oh,
okay,
all right.
I'm sorry. Well, it is what it is.
Oh,
But
would that be a straight razor
it
shave that
is
you're talking
It was
about?
a straight razor shave we used
Yeah.
to do. We do still shave the back of the neck with a straight razor.
Okay.
But,
Can you just sort of guess or think back in your mind about when it was that there was a transition away from a straight razor shave?
we probably started that 15
Yeah.
years ago or so because
Yeah.
you just didn't get the requests. So.
Right, right, and there's been a trend since then toward more facial hair. You said
Correct.
this
Yes,
big
correct.
big
Now
beard
the
guys.
beards are huge. So
Okay. Back to the chair a little bit. I know when Colleen flipped over the footrest on one side, there's sort of a slatted rest, which looks like it's meant to accommodate people's shoes and not get dirty. And then it flips over, and then there's a really nice padded side.
And the padding is actually for when it's reclined and you're shaving, then it will rest on the back of the legs and not be as hard and sharp as the.
It's for customer comfort.
Yes.
Well, these are really cool. People should stop by and look. I mean, on the counter you have the traditional barber. What are these called? These glass things?
They're just comb jars.
Comb jar.
Is pretty much what they call them. The blue is called Barbicide. That is the disinfectant. The kind of greenish is called Ship Shape, and it's more of a soap, and it dissolves off all the hairsprays and the oils and stuff.
Sure.
And so we do that first, and then it goes into the Barbicide.
Okay. And I see a real small one that actually has a straight razor
Yes,
in it.
that's where we keep the razor. It's its own.
The razor.
It's easier to reach into that one and fish the razor out than it is the big tall ones.
Sure. So, when people think back about traditional barbershops, they were places, they were community sort of meeting places, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
for men to do what?
Sit around and talk. Probably gossip, even though I know a lot of men like to claim they don't gossip.
No, it's not. It's small talk.
It is. Small talk. But yeah, they would sit and shoot the breeze and
Yeah.
enjoy each other's company and
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and so has anything about that changed over time?
you don't get as many people congregating now.
Yeah.
People are so busy they have to
Right.
get. So now they just want to get in, get their hair cut, and get out.
Okay.
But the days when we're real busy and a lot of the waiting chairs are full, there's nice banter goes on, and
Good.
it's very enjoyable.
Okay. Are the customers still primarily men?
Primarily, but we do get. We get a fair amount of women, mostly women that want their hair pretty short and they
Sure.
can't get their cosmetologist to cut it short
Do
enough.
it. Yeah.
So yes, we do have a fair amount of women, but it is still predominantly men.
Okay.
And quite a few kids. We get a lot of kids.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would think that'd be a formative experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this barbershop, since it started, has given out juicy fruit gum with a haircut, and we still do
Yeah.
for the
Yeah,
kids.
I remember that. Wow. You just brought back a memory that my dad would bring that back from the barbershop with him, and then he would share it with us, basically. And in those times, it was like an oblong. They were sticks of gum.
Yes, yes.
And now
Yep.
they're little.
Well, these are actually still sticks,
Still
but
sticks,
they just come in a
different.
different packaging.
'Kay,
so they
so-
are still sticks. They don't have the foil wrappers,
Yeah.
which were fun, but
So for the listening audience, Juicy Fruit was a founding branded chewing gum, and it had an iconic yellow gold package with some red labeling on it. And so if you Google or whatever tool you're using in the future search, take a look at what Juicy Fruit looked like. And it was primarily a fruit flavored gum, which made it different than mint, which was the other predominant flavor when people were growing up. Let's talk about costs. How did people, or what did people pay for a shave and a haircut when you first started?
when I first started, a haircut was $5.75,
Okay.
and what was a shave? I want to say the shave was something around $8. It was more because it was more time consuming.
Yeah.
Because we did the steam towels and all of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And was it common for people to ask for both, or one or the other?
It was more common, but even then, because I started in the 80s,
Yeah.
shaves had kind of phased
Right.
out as the trend of the barbershop. It
Right.
was mostly haircuts.
Sure.
But, so we still never did a huge amount of them. We did do more than we get requests for now.
Now.
But,
Okay. And how much is each service now?
shaves we don't do, so I wouldn't even know what to put as a price.
Yeah.
Haircuts are $19 for adults.
Okay, so we're talking in 2019, and that's the shift over time. How about business costs? Costs of running the business. How has that changed?
Those have obviously gone up. The cost of the paper neck strips we use,
Yeah.
and paper's all gone up. Obviously, the cost of utilities have all gone up.
Right.
So it does. Costs
Yeah.
go up, which is
Yeah.
why prices have to go up.
Yeah. Do you rent or own this building?
I actually own this building.
Okay.
This is an odd little mall where we're all individual buildings. And so my lot goes from the street to the alley. I'm 15 feet wide.
Got it,
So I am
yeah.
probably the tiniest lot on
Right.
Monona Drive.
Yeah.
In fact, I believe in the legal description, I am the south 15 feet of a lot. So, yes. And actually, come January, I will make my final payment because I bought it on a 20-year land contract. So.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah.
So that answered my other question, which is wondering what is the main cost of doing business for you?
Oh, I would have to dig books out to see, but like anything, like anybody that runs a business that has employees will know,
Right.
wages.
Personnel costs.
Wages is the most expensive.
Yes.
And taxes, because you have to pay your portion of their Social Security and all of that. So
Right.
personnel is most expensive.
Sure. How many employees do you have?
I have 2 full-time employees.
Sure. And is that the most you've ever had?
No, at one time I did used to have 3.
Okay. All right. And when you were working here as an employee, How about how many people worked?
For most of the time I was here, it was just Pat and I. It was just the two of us.
Okay,
so.
right. So that you were the heart of the business. The two of you were the business, and I guess that would explain a lot about why it is that you were such a great choice for passing along. How do you think that the original owner built his business? How do you think he got the client base that he had?
It's hard to tell, but I would say, in the 50s, haircuts were very popular. People went every week sometimes.
Right.
And so I think if you had a really good location, which this is,
It is.
And you were a good barber,
Yeah.
you could build your business pretty quickly. And I know even still today, while the internet now plays a part in some of ours, word of mouth is still huge.
Okay.
When, we get customers in all the time, they'll say, this person I know had a haircut. I finally asked them, where do you get your haircut? It's a good haircut. And so word of mouth is still very big for us.
It's still key.
It is.
I think that I've heard that from the Monona Bakery and Eatery, from David's, the Jamaican place, and then yours is just the third interview that I have with a business owner on this trip. So, but that's a question that will be coming up in all of our interviews. Is how, what happened?
And I do recognize that obviously internet is important these days.
Sure.
Just about everybody uses it.
Yeah.
So I have made a bit of an effort in the last year or couple of years to get a little bit of a presence on the internet. So I do have a small Facebook page.
Yeah.
I have a website that actually just started a few months ago.
Oh, good.
There's not a lot on it, but I do have a little website now.
Yeah.
And I do, try to keep the Google stuff updated. And
Yeah,
that. So
I
it's,
noticed that. Yeah,
so
that's how you and I communicated, was via your Facebook
yes,
page.
yes.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Because I realize, especially the younger people,
Sure.
that's all they know is,
Sure.
to Google something.
Right, exactly. Do people call and make appointments, or do they stop by?
We do get calls. We do get quite a few calls, but we actually do not use appointments. We're totally walk-in, like a traditional old barbershop.
Yeah.
So that stuns some people when they call to make an appointment. I just, tell them we are totally walk-in. You can come over whenever you like. And they just go, oh. Like they don't know what to do. But
Yeah, I
because it's
agree.
not usual.
Right, it isn't.
But it works for us. We've tried taking appointments, and
Sure.
we just don't. Our client base doesn't call to make appointments, so
Right.
we might get one a day for the
Yeah.
whole week, and it just wasn't really worth the effort.
Sure. So that means that you have to be here.
Correct.
You're
Yes.
attached to the site.
When the hours are posted,
Yes, right.
you have to be here.
Right. Okay. Are you able to take breaks from the business to do vacationing or?
Yes.
other things?
That's part of the reason to have. If you have enough employees, then
Right.
at least you can take some time off.
Yeah.
And there's still good people here keeping things going while you're gone. So yes, I try to do that, and that's why. And with my employees and everybody, pretty much, if somebody wants some time off, they're free to take it whenever they want. We just, we write it on the calendar. If somebody's going to be gone, just write it down so I know, and that's it. So we're pretty laid back here. It's and there's a part of me, of course, there's always that guilt factor. Oh, I should be at work. What if customers come? But it's like, I guess I feel customers need to accept, we have lives outside of this too.
Exactly.
We'd like to go take a vacation with our kids
Right.
or, go do other
Yeah.
things. So, and, when your kids are young, I took a lot of time off, mostly weekends, obviously, when, I had one daughter played volleyball, played club volleyball stuff. I had another one that was an Irish dancer for 7 years. So we
Yeah.
traveled for competitions and for tournaments and for, and you just...
Yeah. So Colleen's, for the listener, Colleen's what's called a fesh mom. So that means that if her daughter was a competitive Irish dancer, that meant most of her Saturdays and Sundays were spent traveling around and doing wigs. And it's a full day commitment. It's
Absolutely.
a 2 day a week commitment. And just like every other sport, there's an intense amount of practice in between. So as it turns out, that's something that Colleen and I have in common. I didn't really.
Yep.
What school did your daughter?
She danced with
Dance.
Cashel Dennehy.
Eyes rolling and hands up in the air now, listeners, because so did my daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she did.
Oh, all right. right.
And they, for a certain amount of time, used the studio that's actually on the street.
They did, yes. When we
Yeah.
started, they were still down there. And it was
Okay.
just in that first year, I believe, that they moved
Yeah.
over to, they were running from Madison Ballet out in
Exactly.
Westgate. And now
Yes.
they've had to move out of there because I know
Had they?
Madison Ballet has moved out of there.
Okay.
And I'm not completely sure where they're at because we've been out of it 2
Yeah.
years now.
Oh,
so.
okay. So yeah, for the listeners, when a dancer, she actually is called retired. When she decides to stop competitive dancing, is your daughter retired, or is she just taking a break?
She's
or-
fully retired.
She's fully retired.
She's, you know, she
Okay.
graduated high school this year. She's getting ready to go on to school, and
Yeah. Yeah, same for mine.
yes,
Yeah.
busy working and earning money, and you know,
Yeah.
doing what you do when you first get out of high school.
Right. So you hang up your fest dress.
Yes, you
and
do.
You or
We
you
still
pass
have
it
it.
on.
She wants to hang on to it, so we will probably have it. And that was actually her last dress is the only brand new one we ever
Yeah,
bought. So
that's common too.
It is.
And Cashel Dennehy is a great network because one of their focuses is to make sure that families don't have to pay enormous amounts of fees. The dresses can be in the thousands of dollars, especially if they're brand new. And so there's a whole little small business inside it of making sure that you know families to connect to that
To
they're passing
resell
on and
dresses.
resell
Correct,
dresses. And
correct.
you know, just like every other sport, your kids are growing and changing all the time, and the dresses are fitted. Oh, that's great.
absolutely. So
good to
yes,
know.
that was.
So yeah, that's a second business for sure. I mean, an occupation to be a fesh mom. And your kids, you said they went to school in Stoughton?
Correct.
Okay. Did anybody in your family have any other activities or connection to Monona as a community?
Not particularly, other than,
Yeah.
you know, we would come up here for things, and, you know, when the
Right.
kids were smaller, we'd come up for the parade and,
Sure.
and some of that kind of stuff on Memorial Day. And
Sure.
But yeah, because Monona's just a nice area. And,
Right.
you know, they loved when they were little, they loved the Dream Park, you know, and so we'd make trips up to go.
Yeah. So,
So yeah, my kids did go to, for daycare, they went down
Yeah.
the street. It was Sunburst when we went there,
Oh,
but now
okay.
it is
kinder
Kindercare, I believe. Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So-
okay, so that's a that's another investment and another connection to the community that I hear often from small business owners. Right at this time, they may not live here, but there are other things that are a draw.
Absolutely.
And,
And I
yeah.
always, as a small business owner, I like to patronize my fellow small
Yeah.
businesses. So, you know, I get my auto work done at Schwenn's. I buy a lot of grocery items at Ken's. I
Yes.
buy, you know, the meat counter is fabulous down
Yes.
there. You know, so I have always tried to
Right.
patronize my fellow small business
Right,
people.
and in I hope you find that's in kind. Good. Well, is there any one story that you want to share about barbering? Anything that comes to
Oh,
mind?
goodness.
You can take your time. To think.
Well...
Looks like a good one.
I will share with you, because you had mentioned before we started talking how I decided to get into barbering.
Yes.
And that one is a little bit comical because the truth is I got into barbering because I hated my guidance counselor at school.
Oh, yes.
And the reason that works out that way is as most people recall, when you're in high school, the guidance counselor's always bugging you to come in for the appointment because you got to
Right.
figure out where you're going to school and what you're going to be
Right.
doing. And I really did not like this man.
Sure.
And he'd scheduled an appointment for me to come in. It was sometime my senior year because he was, you know, we got to fill out your college applications and all this.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, had no interest in spending any time with him. And so I had a friend who was going to go to barber school. Her dad was a barber, and he actually does come in on Saturdays and
Okay.
works just for something to do. He's almost 80, I believe.
Sure.
But so we went up to MATC to the open house for the barber school
Right.
and walked around, and I thought, I could probably do this. And so I went home and I filled out all the paperwork and sent it in and got accepted. And and the day of my appointment came, and of course my guidance counselor was like, well, you ready to come in? Nope, I don't need it.
No.
I'm all taken care of. What do you mean? I'm in the program I'm going to. I don't
Don't need your help.
don't
Thanks,
need
really.
you. Thank you. So yes, I kind of became a barber because I was avoiding my guidance counselor.
Well, looks like it worked out for you,
It
Colleen.
worked out
O'Keefe.
okay.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so much for taking the time with me. Colleen's come in, and she's in the shop earlier to be here and ready for the customers and who are walk-ins, as we know, and to spend her time helping people and making them feel good in the Monona community. Thanks very much.
Thank you.